this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House Pod.
All right, guys, I am so excited once again from the White House. If you're wondering, though, we are on the West Coast. One of the greatest PR people of all times, an amazing producer, an amazing friend who has a family and a wife and all kinds of things. But more importantly, Roger Neal. How are you today?
David, it's so great to be in the White House with you.
Hey, look at that.
In
Get
the
our
White
jokes.
And I've been in the White House before.
I have too.
Your White House.
Yeah.
And the White House.
And the East Coast White House.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you ever rep anybody in the White House?
Actually, I worked for two presidents.
Okay.
President Bush Sr. when he was president, and I did some work for President Reagan after President Reagan left office. I've been on 2 Air Force Ones. I've been on a backup Marine One. I've been in the Oval. I've been in the private residence.
What is your favorite place, like in D.C., in anything dealing with the White House? Is it Air Force One? Is it the White House? What's the most interesting part of it all?
Well, for me,
you could only choose one. If you were on a desert island and you could only have one aspect of it that you'd have to stay in.
The White House. Because it's
a kitchen.
It has the White House. But Air Force One now, of course, has everything the White House has. It's actually the White House on wheels.
In the air.
Yeah, in the air. It really is. Yeah. So, but when you go through the White House, you stand in the Oval Office. It's a very humbling. No matter who president is, it's just a humbling experience to stand there. You think about all the history that's taken place in that room and in that house. It's a very humbling experience. And then you go to the private residence is pretty wild, right? So it was just, I lived a lot of history in 4 years.
So how does one get into being, what would you call, you have so many titles, like what do you call yourself? Like obviously my introduction was impeccable, but
of course.
if you...
Well, I've been a publicist for 42 years.
Yeah.
And, produced some television and been a personal manager for as long as I've been a publicist.
You have a radio show right now too, don't you?
I don't. I help produce a radio show for KBC Radio. But publicity is what I've done all these years, and that's what I'm known for. And what I did for the White House was just for God and country. I never got paid for it.
Wow.
It was just volunteer, and I did my regular work on top of that. But it was the perks were nice.
Were you repping Bob Hope at that time?
I was repping Bob Hope and Lee Greenwood.
Yeah.
And Fred Travellina. And Fred Travellina is the master impressionist comedian. He's the one that really got me there because he did work for Bush Sr. and Reagan. He did, he does their voices, and they would have him come and be on the campaign trail with them, and then when they became president, they'd have him come perform at these events. So we were in.
Wait a second. So is he like an impersonator?
Yeah.
I'm going to morph the last 9 presidents of the United States, okay? I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the President of the States Knighted U. United States.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So he did all the voice, like he could sing like anybody. Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis. He's no longer with us.
Yeah.
But he was my client for 25 years. I traveled all over the country with him.
So they would actually have their own impersonator.
Because he's a comedian, right. So he would entertain, and he started doing the prosthetic makeups. He did for CBN. He won awards for.
So what president are we talking about here?
Reagan, Nixon,
okay, so
Bush
let's just
Sr.
take Reagan, right?
Yeah.
So Reagan then has this impersonator who does the prosthetics, who then looks like him.
Yeah.
On the road with him, is Reagan ever like, wow, I'm really tired?
No,
out there and speak?
No, but it was for comedy. It was for his opening, right? So we started doing Bush and prosthetics with President Bush when Bush was president, Bush Sr. We went to an event at Union Station in Washington, D.C., and we had Entertainment Tonight cameras with us. And he's all ready. He looks just like Bush Sr. We pull up to Union Station. We get out of the limo and walk in, and we're swarmed. And Secret Service comes running over and takes him by the arms and rushes us backstage. And they said, Fred, don't ever do that again, because if somebody was here to hurt the president, they would think you were the president and you could get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's when I think Fred realized, wow, like this is
It's
real.
a real deal.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So take us back. You've been in PR, you said 42 years. I mean,
Longer than you've been alive.
Yeah. Like, is PR, like, what's the history of it's public relations, right?
It is.
So, or it stands for public relations.
Public relations. Okay. Now, in the 40s, PR people were called flax.
Okay.
Press agents, publicists, PR guys, PR people.
What do you like about it? And did you know when you got into it years ago that this was the thing that you wanted to get into?
When I was 5 years old, I knew what I wanted to do, to come to Hollywood and be in show business. So you asked me from the time I was 5, what are you going to do when you grow up? I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to be in show business.
In what facet?
I always wanted to be.
When you were 12.
Same thing, but never wanted to be in front of the camera. Always wanted to be behind the scenes because, I'm just an average-looking guy. So,
really good right
thanks.
Roger Neal.
But anyway.
You can get a hold of him at 555.
Thank you.
No. All right, but okay, you're 12, you're 15 years old. Like, when did PR come into your brain of this is what I want to do, or did you even know when you landed in Hollywood?
I did. I wanted to help create stars. I wanted to work with celebrities.
They also call you the star maker, right?
Well, they called Jay Bernstein the star maker. I don't know about me, but they called Jay Bernstein the star maker for sure. And he was my mentor. Jay Bernstein was the person who made Farrah Fawcett, Suzanne Summers. He made so many stars very big, very hot. And he also produced TV movies for CBS and different networks and feature films. So he was really known as a star maker, and he was my mentor. That's who taught me all that I know about the business.
How did you meet him?
So I was with.
It gets back to Roger Neal, right?
That's right.
He saw you and he was like, wow.
Once again, I was with Fred Travellina at a Charlton Heston shoot down in Orange County. And
what did it happen? Was he holding up the Bible, the commandments?
Yeah, no.
It wasn't that shoot?
No, it wasn't that shoot. It was a gun shoot, right? Like, the clay pigeons or whatever. And Jay came over to Fred and said hello. And he said, oh, this is my PR guy, Roger Neal. And he goes, oh, yeah, I've heard about you. He said, let's exchange numbers. We should get together and have lunch. So we did. I ended up working with him and helping create a few celebrities in his later years. And he really taught me everything I know about being a publicist, being a rep for celebrities. And so it was a good learning experience for me.
Okay, so who was like your first? Who was your first big client?
My first client was Burt Ward.
Burt Ward was your first client.
I started.
And what year is this?
This is 1982 or 83.
Wow!
I came here in 81. I got a job at MGM Studios in the mailroom, and it was still in the lot in Culver City.
Okay.
And I delivered mail to the Thalberg building. I delivered mail to Aaron Spelling twice a day, Cubby Broccoli, who produced all the James Bond movies twice a day, the head of the studio, all the executives in the Thalberg building. And one day the head of publicity said to me, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I said, "Oh, well, I want to do PR. I want to create stars." She goes, "You've got a great personality. I think you should get out of the studio and get to do your own thing." She goes, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" I said, "Whatever you'd like me to do." She said, "There's going to be a James Bond premiere on the lot. I want to bring you as my guest." So I said, "Great." So I went with her. All these celebrities were there. "Oh, what do you do?" I work at MGM.
Which James Bond movie?
Octopussy.
Okay.
I knew you were going to ask that. So anyway, I went, and these stars started inviting me to these events. And I was at an event, and Burt Ward was there, and I recognized him instantly because I grew up watching Batman.
Yeah. By the way, if you don't know who Burt Ward is, we also did a podcast with Burt Ward, and he's fascinating. So
Robin.
Yeah, I'm unbelievable.
So he said, "Hey, I'm looking for a press agent." I said, "Well," he goes, I said, "That's what I do." And so, of course, I hadn't really done it yet, right? because I was just coming
How
out.
old were you at this
I
point?
was 21.
Wow. Okay.
21, yeah, 21.
That's how old Burt Ward was when he got Robin.
That's right. That's right. I never thought about
21's
that
a
until
good
right
age.
now. And so he said, well, what do you charge? I said, well, I don't want to talk about that tonight. We'll exchange numbers and I'll call you tomorrow. This is the very beginning of my career. So I went back to my apartment that night. I added up all my expenses, added some money to it. And I called him back and I said, well, look, nice meeting you yesterday. He goes, how much do you charge? I said, $1,000 a month. Because back then that was a good amount of money. He goes, you're hired. That's the best deal in town. And so we have been going all these years. He's been a client now for 40 years.
Wow.
So, and it went from just handling him to handling the dog food and the cat food company. So, and then Tom Jones was my second client.
Okay.
Or actually, Hervé Villechaize was my second client. And then through that, I got Tom Jones. When Tom was doing Vegas, he was headlining, the Caesar's Palace marquee would just say, Tom is here.
Now, did you know much about Vegas, or was that like an intro to you? For you?
Tom Jones was my intro to Vegas, yeah.
Okay.
And I learned a lot.
This is the 80s, right?
This is, early 80s. I learned a lot. And that was really, for me, those were the good old days of Vegas.
Yeah.
And the people that were older said, oh, you should have been here in the, in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah.
But for me, the 80s, as I look back on Vegas now, the 80s was really great. I mean, some of the most iconic hotels were still there. Stars were still performing there. They were still open. You could still get a great meal for $2.
Back when the steak, you could get a whole steak dinner for.
Oh, it was crazy.
That is kind of funny.
It was crazy.
How like what stars were performing in Vegas in the 80s? What are we?
Gosh, Tom Jones, Wayne Newton.
Wayne's still there, by the way.
He is still there. Yeah.
I think Tom is too.
And there was just so many. I mean, I think the Jacksons might have been performing there. There's just so many. Cher.
Wow.
Who still performs there, right? So you just those kind of bigger start. Toady Fields, I think.
But it
was
had
still
to be.
performing.
But there was more to it. Why did you like it so much? And or is Hollywood have the same thing for you? Like what's Hollywood today? Well, hold on. First, let him answer the first question, David. My gosh.
Yeah. So what was the first question?
Vegas.
Vegas,
Why was Vegas better? Because those stars are still performing there today.
They are.
We still have all, now, I think the last one anyway.
So when I was working with Tom Jones, he was performing there. He was getting $500,000 a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big change from now to then, then to now. We had a whole floor of rooms just to us.
How much do they get now?
I had
it's more than
suite.
triple, actually.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. $5 million a week, maybe?
No. It just depends on who you are because the 4-wall came into play and the 2-wall came into play, and the stars went, hey, we could make the money instead of the casinos, but
You got to front it.
And that the stars were going, I don't think I want to do that. So, but then I had a suite that was fantastic. It overlooked the Strip. Anything I wanted, I just signed.
Yeah.
And I got spoiled very quickly.
Kind of like Elvis in the Elvis
That's
movie.
exactly right.
Yeah.
I just signed for wherever I wanted. There was no limit. I could go get whatever I wanted.
Could you also gamble with that?
Yes, but I don't gamble.
Right.
So.
Nor do you drink.
I don't drink either, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally,
you're clean.
The temple is pure.
That's why you look so good. Roger's 100 years old, by the way,
yeah.
But he looks amazing.
I'll be 101 this year.
I have a question. Here's what all right, so my question is here. So getting back to my question. All right, so that kind of sets up how Vegas is different today. Is Hollywood in the same vein? Like, what is it? Obviously,
Hollywood is so different from when I started here. I'm sure same for you. Hollywood is not the same town it was 42 years ago or 40 years ago. It's just not. It's not the same town it was 20 years ago. It's just not. Everything has changed. And when it changes, you have to keep up with the change or you get left behind because there's always a new way to do business, always all the new things you have to do. I remember when social media first started, a PR person said, this is going to change how we promote our clients forever. I said, you're crazy. Social media is going away, maybe a couple of years. And then I had to go back to that person and say, you know what, you were correct.
Do you remember who that person was?
She was a publicist on the East Coast. Her name's Dina White. And
pretty amazing, though, that she actually had the forethought of
she did.
What year? I mean,
this was like maybe social media was just
like
sort
in the
of
early
brand
2000s
new
or something like
brand new. And I thought, you're crazy. This is not good. This isn't going to do anything major.
All right, so that changed clearly.
Yeah.
How did the stars change? Did they become nicer or a little less nice? Now you represent me.
I do represent you.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, I do represent
clearly
you.
that I am one of the most difficult people, way more than Burt Ward.
I took extra insurance out on me when I started representing you.
So my question is though, is like, but how did they change? Did the stars actually change? Like, do you feel like are stars different today?
They are. They're not as loyal as, say, Bert's been my client for 40 years, right? Now, the celebrities of today, there's always somebody that will say, I can do it better. I can do it for less money. I could do it better. Oh, I could do that better. And stars do not have loyalty like they used
I know.
to.
It's funny because I have a buddy of mine who's an agent, and the same thing. He was saying for years and years, this loyalty thing used to be a tradition in Hollywood, and that somehow we lost. When did that disappear? Like, when did it go?
I think I started noticing that maybe in the 90s.
2000s?
Late 90s, early 2000s. Like,
is it because money got better, or why?
I think a lot of celebrities sort of start believing their own press and that they are a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
And maybe social
Some
media
of them
had
are,
something to do with that
probably,
too, because it's more every day.
And people are coming at the celebrities hourly, daily, with this thing. And if you're not really grounded and your stardom has come to you quickly, you'll just go whatever looks better. That's a shiny object over there. It looks better than the object I got here. I'm going to go the shiny object,
like squirrel,
right?
Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So people don't, celebrities don't, what I think celebrities today, they don't put a core team around them and keep the team. They change up the team.
Yeah.
And if you have a team, like you have a team around you. Mm-hmm. Elvis had a team around him. So
we're very similar.
I just, that's very funny that you said that, because I was thinking that the other day. I really was. I was thinking, David is a lot like Elvis, because you have. You're
not even joking right now.
I'm not joking.
He's not even joking.
Not joking. You have stars and actors that you like to work with, and you use them in different projects. Elvis did the same thing. You have a core of people around you that you like to have around you, whatever you're doing, and Elvis had the same thing. So you're the movie version Elvis. You're the movie version of Elvis. You're the movie version of that, right? You're the movie star version of that, the producer version of that, right? So I noticed with you that there is loyalty. You have loyalty with people that you've been in business with for a very long time, and that's rare. The last person I really noticed that with was Dick Clark. Dick Clark was extremely loyal to the people around him. He was extremely loyal to them. He had the same people working for him for over 40 years. They just were his team, and he trusted them, and he loved them. They loved each other, and he knew how to motivate them to make them work harder, but not pressure them. But they wanted to work harder for him because he knew how to motivate them, and that's what a lot of celebrities don't know how to motivate their team properly, right? It's just pressure. But if you motivate your team right, that's when you see the stars. And look at the stars who are really big. Most of them have had their agent or a manager or a publicist their whole career.
For a long time, yeah. It's interesting. I picked that up years and years ago on when I started on Evening Shade with Burt Reynolds. When Burt Reynolds was, I didn't really even know who Burt Reynolds was very much, other than Smokey and the Bandit, because I grew up very conservative with, as a Mennonite. You did too.
Yeah.
Your dad was a pastor as well.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing to me, though, was when I walked, because I moved around as a kid, for me, the difference was I moved around as a kid a bit. And so when I landed in Hollywood, I wanted a core group that I would know for many, many years, and that I didn't have to leave states or go start new friends. And that's what Burt was teaching me at 19 years old.
Yeah.
I would see all these people that he had worked with for 30 years. And that he was still working with on Evening Shade. He had all these people that he had worked. I'd either won an Oscar, Emmy, or Tony. They were super talented. Yeah. But more importantly, he knew them all, and it was like his family. And that's what I liked.
Right.
I was like, I want a family to where it's not, and then I think there comes into the whole Obviously, as a Christian, you want to treat people the way Christ would treat people, love people.
Absolutely.
And in the process of it, they become your family.
It's true. You know, when I was handling the Miss USA, Miss Universe pageants, Miss Teen USA, when it was CBS aired it and Paramount owned it with Viacom, or Golf and Western, the president of Miss Universe, we would, you know, you do the pageants, you were gone 3 months a year. You were a month on each location before the live telecast, and it was global. And he would give a little speech before we would, on show day, before we would go out and do this live
Were you
show.
representing it as the publicist? Or
I was the publicist for Universe, USA, Teen USA.
And in the highest years, right? It's like the highest rated
87,
series.
I gave them their highest ratings they've ever had. Nobody to this day has topped the ratings I gave Miss USA in 1987. So he gave a little speech to get everybody ready for this, you know, live global telecast that was going to go live to the world. And he said, you know, we are a family, and we're one of the last traveling circus families there is.
And this is 87?
This was in 87.
Wow.
And so whenever you do work with, you know, clients, you become close to them. You know, as you know, working on a movie set or a TV set, you spend more time working there than you do at home. And so, you know, you spend a lot of time around these people, and you had better like them, because if you don't, it could be miserable, right? You know, some great stories. I mean, look at the Andy Griffith Show. What a great show, right? Still on in syndication today. Yeah. But you know that Andy Griffith and Francis Bavier did not get along. Aunt Bee and Andy never got along. They didn't like each other. But they were professional enough to get the job done.
How many years was that on? Like, how many years did they do
I think it might have been on for 10 or 15 years, something like that.
So they put up with each other for that long.
They did. However, today, if you have a celebrity that doesn't like their co-star, they're very vocal about it. And, you know...
Oh, yeah, with the press or they take the social media.
It's either they go or I go.
Somebody goes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the professionalism in that part, because if you have chemistry that works, you don't want to mess with that chemistry on camera, because that chemistry, like Bert and Adam had that chemistry, you can't buy that chemistry. It just happens or it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee that you'll have chemistry with a co-star. But when you find that chemistry, and it's the same behind the scenes, when you find that chemistry with your team or your reps, you know, that's when you really can make things happen and go full bore, because you've got a chemistry there.
So you've had these massive movie stars, music stars. Who's easier to work with, the movie stars, TV stars, or the musicians? Because they're a different group, right?
They are different.
They're all creatives, but like, you hear all the stories about the rock stars.
I'd say the music stars are, I won't say more difficult, they're just more challenging.
Because they never go to bed, and then when they do, they don't wake up for a day and a half.
I'll give you an example. When I worked with Tom Jones in Vegas, my days were upside down. So he slept until 2 p.m, got up, went to breakfast, did a workout, got ready for his 2 shows.
Yeah.
We finish at midnight. He has people in the dressing room after. Then he wants to go see a movie or go to dinner.
Yeah, because he's wired.
Part of my job was to rent the movie theater out, so it would just be our group there, or to arrange for dinner. That means somebody had to stay open till 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. But he had the money to make that happen, and he did it. So, you know, my days were flipped. So when I was in Vegas with him, I would sleep during the day. I didn't sleep a lot because I still had to get work done, but I would sleep during the day.
Yeah, you had other clients too,
and then
right?
and then be up all night. So that's where my habit of sleeping about 4 hours a night to 5 hours, that's where that happened.
Okay.
And so I've been doing it for all these years, so I don't get much more than 5 hours sleep a night.
Yeah, you get up every morning at like 5 a.m.?
About 4:35,
and you go, when's your workout?
I'm in the pool by 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every day?
Every morning.
Wow.
Back in the office.
6 days a week, 7, 5 days?
5 days a week swimming, 7 days a week walking.
Okay.
Now,
are you making calls when you're walking or swimming?
Not when I'm swimming.
You haven't figured that part out yet?
No, but I wish I could.
Maybe you should pick up a new sport.
Actually, you know, when I'm swimming, I'm praying. That's my time that I pray for the day and just talk to God. That's my time to do that, because it's just me and the water, and there's other people around me swimming, of course. But it's my time to just commune and talk to God, and that's my most peaceful time of the day, is when I'm in the pool swimming. When I'm walking, if I'm walking, I'm talking. And if I'm talking, I'm on the phone taking care of business.
How, all right, so you're a Christian. So
I am.
As a Christian in this industry, in the PR industry of all things, how has that been? I mean, you went from Vegas because you grew up super conservative. I mean, we share that story in a lot of ways. I think I win on the conservative side.
You're probably raised more conservative. I think you might probably raised more conservative
really
than
close.
me.
As far as like movies and that kind of things, I win on that. Yes.
Like I only remember going to the drive-in theater with my parents a couple of times.
Yeah.
And one was to see the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston, and the other one was to see the King of Kings.
And Charlton Heston was one of your clients, right?
No, it wasn't a client. I just knew him.
Oh, okay.
He was not a client, but I knew him.
All right. So how is that? So as, trying to navigate in this industry, how is that?
Not easy.
Yeah.
Because, don't drink, don't do drugs, never did, never tried it. No tobacco. I'm not a party guy, though I had to go to a lot of parties. I've been to a lot of parties for, many years. I work in Hollywood, but I'm not a Hollywood person. I go home at the end of the day, and I'm just,
you've been married a long time.
Yeah, I have
kids.
been. Yeah, they're all married and grown, and I'm free again.
Yeah.
No kids.
You have time now. That's hilarious.
But it's challenging always in Hollywood. When I started in the business, the first two things that I was told, don't talk about politics or religion. Because
even back then.
Yeah, because you're going to be working with people that have different beliefs, different political persuasions. Some people may not believe in God. Some people might, but some people are different denominations. So it's better to just zip it and be quiet. And for a lot of years, I was it. Now, if somebody talks to me about it, I talk to them about it. Yeah. Right. So you're constantly having to navigate and think. What you can say, can't say, should say, shouldn't say. It's just that kind of a thing.
How, okay, so you repped Brittany Murphy and that whole thing.
Did.
Like there was an HBO special on that you're all over, and there's a new one coming out, another one.
There's a new one that just came out. It's on Tubi. It's called Gone Too Soon.
And then that's I actually found that fascinating, that whole story. I mean,
it was crazy.
Tragic.
It's crazy time. Brittany died. 6 months later, I was handling her husband and her mom after she died. 6 months later, he's gone. Of a similar situation of her. The mom was still living. It was a crazy, crazy time, a crazy situation. And to live through something like that, it's a little crazy.
To watch it go on in front of you is a crazy thing.
And be a part of it. It was like, you don't want to be a part of something like that, but it just, if it happens, it happens. Having to go out and give a press conference and, set everything straight because so much misinformation was out there. But I sat with Simon the last day he was alive. I didn't know I was watching him die, but I was.
Yeah.
We had an 8-hour meeting.
That's crazy.
And but both specials, both of these docuseries are really good, and it answers a lot of questions people have. It might leave you with some questions as well.
All right, so we're wrapping up. What's your words of advice for anybody who wants to get into either producing, PR? They just want to be you. What is?
Nobody wants to be me. They want to be you.
Yeah, totally. What is? So, what's your word of advice?
You can do anything you want to do, be anything you want to be, as long as you're willing to work.
I agree. Now?
I think so. If you're willing to work hard to get it, nothing is going to be given to you. You have to work hard to get it.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you worked hard, and look what you have.
You can look at the camera.
You've built an empire.
Look at that person over there.
So you can. Here we are. You can be anything you want to be, do anything you want to do, work hard to get it.
He's actually looking at me right now.
That's right.
Through his peripheral.
That's right.
But yeah, that's a good. I mean, it's tried and true. You'd love to believe that America is anything can happen, or no matter what country you live in, anything is possible.
Glad I'm not starting out today, but no one gave me a limit.
You're not in Guam.
No, thank God. No one gave me a limit. Nobody said you can't go this high. You can't do this. No one put limits on me.
Yeah.
So I believed, and I was taught I could do anything I wanted to do, be anybody I wanted to be, if I was willing to work hard. And that's how I've done it all these years.
From the White House, it's Roger Neal. Roger, where can people go to call you to rep them?
Oh, Just Neal, Neal publicrelations.com.
You should look at them, though.
Hey, it's Neal, Neal publicrelations.com.
We have a great relationship, as you can see. Roger really loves when I call him. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, hey, by the way, tune in from the White House with me on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Apple. It's everywhere. And Roger Neal, thank you so much for
Thank you,
everything
David
you've
A.R.
done
White.
for me over the years, and so many people. You're a blessing and an honor to.
No, I love you, buddy. You're the best.